Good afternoon. I want to thank each one of you for being here today and spending this time with us today at Yana for our midweek pick-me-up. My title for today is The God Within. The theme that Centers for Spiritual Living, our denomination, has used for March is You Are Rooted in the Divine. And the actual topic that we're celebrating 100 years of Science of Mind this year. And so we are looking at various aspects of Science of Mind. And the one we are looking at today is the self-evident truth within you, which to me is the God within, which is the only God. But I want to share one of my favorite readings from Ernest Holmes with you today. It is from this thing called Life, which has also been renamed The Art of Life, which I won't go into how much I don't like that. But we'll talk about it as this thing called Life. And this is from chapter 3 of the book. And it said, life goes on. But are we making the most of this thing called life? We can imagine a fish being told that it is surrounded by water, but not quite realizing what that means. We can imagine such a fish swimming north, swimming south, east, and west in search of water. If we think of this fish as a person, we can even imagine him looking up books of fish lore, studying fish psychology and philosophy, and always endeavoring to discover where the waters of life are and how to approach them. Perhaps some wise old fish might say, it has come down to us through tradition that in ancient times our ancestors knew the wonderful ocean of life. They philosophized a day when all shall live in the waters of life happily ever after. And can't we imagine the other fish getting together, rolling their eyes, wiggling their tails, looking wise and mysterious, and beginning to chant, "Oh, water, 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 we beseech you to reveal yourself to us. We beseech you to flow around us and through us, even as you did in the days of our reverend ancestors." Just think about it. When we think about life, and this we're talking about God. God is everywhere. God is absolutely part of us, around us, and as us, and in every person we see. But are we like the fish in this story? Do we continue to look for God someplace else? And some of the readings I did for today, one of the comments that was made by Ernest Holmes is that when we look for God, we are looking from something that we were never divided from. We are looking for something that is so much a part of us, sometimes it's hard to find. And this is the same thing. When we talk about life, as in this reading, or we talk about truth, as we're going to talk about in what we talk about today, those are elements, are qualities of God. So when we talk about truth, we're talking about looking for God. When we talk about life, love, joy, peace, those are all qualities of God. They're part of the essence of God. And when we look for these, we are looking for God. And God has never been lost. We use this power, we use this God stuff in every moment of our day. But the question becomes, how are we using it? Are we just allowing it to happen? Or are we directing it and guiding, and are we directing it and harnessing it, so to speak, into what we want to experience? The Sunday that is coming up is actually Palm Sunday. And Palm Sunday, as we see it, is actually acknowledging our awakening of who we are, acknowledging our journey to peace, our journey to the peace that's always within us. And when we're looking for truth, or we're looking for God, or we're seeking something outside of ourselves, we are using this God essence that is the truth of who we are to find something that's not lost. We need to take the responsibility, we need to take the time to allow ourselves to feel and know the presence of God in every moment. I find it very, very easy to feel the presence of God in nature, or to feel the presence of God when I'm around a small child. I had the honor and privilege this past Saturday to do the memorial service for my mother. And she did not want any kind of service. And I guess being my mother, she was quite vocal about that to more people than just her daughters. So all of the 70 people who were there, or many of the 70 people who were there standing on the side of the hill, knew that my mother didn't want any kind of service. In fact, she had told my cousin, when she told him where to place her ashes, that she just wanted him to drive up in his pickup truck with his current dog and dump her ashes in this particular bar ditch. And she said that to her, this was the most beautiful place on earth. And I tell you, as I stood there and looked out over this area, and it's actually the top of a hill that looks down into the valley where I grew up. It is a very beautiful place. And it was very easy to know my oneness with God, to know the oneness with Spirit. As we stood there in nature and looked around at all there was to offer. I mean, in this area, there is a mountain, there's a river, there's flat land, and there's a big pond. And so all the elements, many of the elements of nature are right there where you can see them and right there where you can feel them. You just have to take the moment to just allow it to be there. Ernest Holmes said in Living the Science of Mind, God cannot not die. God is all there is. God is the essence of my life and is my life. Then I am immortal and I am immortal and an eternal being now. God cannot die. God is all there is. God is the essence of my life and is my life. I am immortal and I am an eternal being. If we could actually embody this and believe it and allow it to work through and as us, how different our lives would be. Too many times we're like the fish swimming around and we just let life happen. We just allow whatever is going on to continue to run our lives. And as we know this truth, these truths set us free. These truths truly allow us to awaken to the truth of who we are and to just be more of what we are in this moment and every moment. So the question becomes, how do we use this power? How do we allow ourselves to really believe that God is all there is? How do we allow ourselves to know, like the fish, that we are living in the living waters of life? We have to take the time each day to recognize our oneness with God. We have to take the time in those moments when we lose that connection to reconnect. Holmes reminds us in this thing called life that when we walk in a room, no matter how long it's been since somebody turned on the light, as soon as we flip the switch, the lights come on. And the same is true for each one of us as we take the opportunity to remember our oneness with God, as we take the opportunity to embody the truth that it's all God and to truly live in principles. When we get disconnected, all we have to do is remember. All we have to do is take a moment to remind ourselves. And sometimes it's as easy as saying there's only one life. That life is God's life, that life is perfect, and that life is my life now. Our life is, there is a natural goodness and kindness. It is peace, joy, and wholeness. I live this life. This life is in everyone and everything. Therefore, I am one with all people, all things, all events. If we feel disconnected, if we forget that it's all God, saying something as simple as, I am one with all people, all things, all events. I am one with God. It allows us to shift from our time of separation and to reunite with our oneness with God. God never turns God's back on us. If we're disconnected, it's because we have broken the connection. And that connection is always there if we will take the effort to make sure it's there. As we begin to use this power, this presence, this oneness more consciously, our life begins to work in a better way. Because we're always using the power that is God in every moment. And when I say the power that is God and it is ours to use, I'm talking about the power that created the universe, the power that created each one of us in this world that we live in. Can you imagine how much better each one of us's lives would work if we consciously used this power in every moment of our life? Or if we're using it 5% of the time, if we made the effort to use it 10% of the time, and to just allow this power to work through of us all the time. As we embody this at a greater level, as we embody it even more into our lives and our lives' work, truly, we do set ourselves free. Truly, we do awaken to that power within us. And we realize that it truly is all God. And that we live from this space more and more each day.